Trends, Tokenizing the World. This is going to be hosted by Tudor from Infinityness, Serdar from Tycoon, Lisa from who's a co-founder of FLUIDEFI, and Lukas, co-founder of Proteus Finance, and Nils from Paypolitan.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? My name is Tudor Holotescu. I'm the founder of Headstarter, the launchpad of Hedera Hashgraph. And today in this wonderful panel, I'm going to be co-moderating, I guess. There's been a bit of confusion here. Since we both came up with some questions, let's start by introducing ourselves a bit and making ourselves more familiar to the public.
I'm Lisa Loud, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of FLUIDEFI. We are building DeFi tools for institutions, deep analytics, and looking to tokenize the world.
Hi guys, my name is Lukas Navickas. I'm a co-founder of a company called Proteus Finance in Switzerland. Basically what we are doing, we're bridging the centralized finance with the decentralized finance, and we allow customers to get high yields and high API from DeFi.
Hi there, my name is Serdar Bisi and I'm the CEO and founder of Tycoon. We are enabling social trading on centralized exchanges where it's not possible. So for example, we can connect two different users on Binance to follow each other and automatically follow the trades. And we're also stepping into the DeFi sector by creating social trading into DeFi, which is probably the main interesting thing which we are doing end of this year.
Hi, I'm Nils. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Paypolitan. We're building a payment app for crypto and fiat. Thank you. And we are the first app tokenizing and securing traditional fiat transactions through blockchain technology.
That's cool. So let's start with something light. Why is tokenization so important in DeFi?
Yep, so I can start if you want. Basically, the tokenization allows the communities, many people to participate in the business, right? So instead of having a centralized authority, which basically decides on the API, decides on everything related to the business, we can allow communities, we can allow people to participate, to decide, to govern the protocol or govern the business itself. So that's one of the biggest advantages in tokenization that I see.
So for me, tokenization in DeFi is important. Why? Because I mean the word DeFi consists of decentralized, and tokenizing governance, for example, or equity, or any other kind of claim rights, basically is much easier in a token because you don't need the third party, which you need always for centralized finance. So basically, this is the key to allowing decentralized finance to go mainstream, in my opinion, is to tokenize different aspects of finance.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great point because DeFi itself is all run on smart contracts. There's no way to do DeFi unless you have tokens. So any asset that has a token can be DeFi'd, if we can make that into a verb. But anything that doesn't have a token, you can't really DeFi it.
Yeah, I would like to add, maybe the most important thing is when you tokenize any transaction or whatever, what is the difference between tokenizing and encrypting? Encrypting, I simply use a mathematical method to make the data I have somewhere not readable for others. But what was done could be also undone by anyone, means by hackers. When you tokenize something, you only have a part of it, so whenever it got hacked, the hackers only have a part of it and they can do anything with that. So when you have a credit card, you tokenize the credit card or the transaction, they only will have a part of it, but not the full card. When it's only encrypted, then the hacker, he will run away with the credit card data and make some purchases while you're here at AIBC Summit.
All right, so there's a lot of innovation happening in DeFi all the time, and the pace is bubbling with NFT applications, DeFi, real-world assets, carbon credits. What do you guys think is palpably one of the biggest innovations in DeFi most recently, and what are you most looking forward to?
I think there are many different innovations that are happening in the DeFi space, right? So let's say from our perspective, what we are doing, we're basically building a bank on a blockchain, right? And that's huge in itself. Let's say bank can provide you with 1, 2 to 3% return per year. We can provide with 19 to 20 or even more percent return, right? And the goal, the biggest advantage is that it's transparency. People can see what happens with their funds, what happens with their money. Now, there's a lot of regulation happening in the background, but that's huge, having a 20% API and having the possibility to see what's happening with your funds. I think it's huge in itself.
All right, I will go forward. Not very recently, I would say, but I really like to see how DAOs are evolving. So decentralized governance, basically. So to allow everyone to have a voting right on specific topics, on how projects approach and what needs to be decided by basically centralized teams until now can be decentralized unto the whole community, because I think it was Apple to the times of Steve Jobs who said you can make the best product out there, but basically if you miss the community feedback, then it will probably never be successful. And in my opinion, DAOs allow exactly that, so that the community, that it should be like that at least, that the community can have a voice and can vote on specific things which they like to be changed in different projects.
So I can really second that. It's basically, a few years ago I wrote my master thesis on this topic actually, and the definition, what you're describing, the DAO was previously called wisdom of the crowd. So when there are many people and they vote on something, right, and express their opinion could be or is smarter than one expert's opinion. And we are used to that. In traditional business, we have experts and we have a centralized authority that decides for us. But users don't want that, right? That's why we see such a huge influence now of DeFi and DAOs in the recent years, especially this year. People want the opportunity to decide themselves, right? And yeah, I really like that. And yeah.
I would like to echo what you said. I also have another project. We also have a governance token. But when I see the gas fees, whenever you have a governance vote, I mean, $115 maybe for you, me, and us here on the panel is nothing. But if you look in other countries, $115 only for voting, participating, that's hella loads of money. So I think not all tokenization is done correctly.
Okay, to answer this shortly, in my opinion, it is like to say, okay, the first electric vehicle was not running 1,000 kilometers. So I think we are at the evolving step and we are in exponential growth. More and more networks, more and more protocols are getting out there, and gas fees will be no issue anymore in a few months, in a few years, for sure. This is predictable that this will be solved for sure. But yeah, today it's absolutely a problem, and that also means that the small guy basically still has no vote, because maybe he cannot afford the gas fees just for voting on something, because you also don't get anything back, right? So you don't buy something with that money, you just spend it on burnt Ethereum and on the miners. So for now it's correct. For the future, I think that's not an issue.
I'm going to go the exact opposite direction from you guys, because what I'm most excited about in DeFi is the fact that yes, the small guys are coming in, yes, DAOs are important, but capital has to move first before we have any material difference in the industry. So I think the most important and exciting development in DeFi is that institutions are getting excited about it. Institutions, and that's why I'm building my platform, it's institutional tools to bring that capital into DeFi. I absolutely agree that the community is important, the gas fees are too high, the little guy is walled out. However, I think if we bring the institutional capital in, then all these other things can happen. It's dangerous to think that way, because you could get sucked into it. But I have a question for you, because I saw Hedera Hashgraph has some kind of announcement with NASDAQ, and I'm wondering, does that mean that NASDAQ is supporting tokenization?
Well, it's been rumors for years that there will be a lot of stuff happening with STOs, and NASDAQ is definitely in the forefront over there. So I think that when it comes to this type of stuff, it's very important that the regulations are in place. As you said, a lot of institutional investors will be looking to come into DeFi and make use of the attractive APIs, but regulations need to come in place. And I feel like with the FATF recommendations coming recently, a lot of the people who are participating in DeFi have been over the past few months, over maybe a year, maybe a bit reluctant to participate, expecting the regulations to come into play. So this actually is a good transition into asking you guys, what do you feel about regulations going forward? They've been the talk of the town when it comes to DeFi, and how do you feel that they will impact the space?
Talk of the town. So it depends which town you're talking about. Here in UAE, there's been a lot of progress towards good regulations that will support the development of crypto projects. And it's very open, it's very friendly. At the same time, in the US, we've seen a movement towards locking things down. Even Biden's announcement about CBDCs is not really good news for the crypto industry because CBDCs go against crypto. So it depends which town you're talking about. I think those places like the UAE, which are embracing a regulation in an environment that will foster growth, will see a huge amount of growth in this area.
Exactly, and what I think is that regulation is important, right? Without regulation, there are so many scams that could be performed. We see rug pulls, we see insane high APIs that suddenly disappear, right? So regulation must come in place, but that doesn't mean that the technology must stop, right? The technology must go intact with the regulation. Sometimes, usually, the technology is first, regulation comes second. But I think every company, especially in the DeFi space, they must also don't forget this legal part. And we have companies like Celsius or Swissborg that are actually following regulations very clearly. And we have other DeFi companies that put technology first. I think we must think about the regulations. There is no way to avoid them. Of course, there are different countries where you can register your business, but in the end, you want to be a reputable authority, and you must implement regulatory things, and that's what we do actually in Proteus Finance as well.
I totally agree that we need more regulation, for sure. I mean, with the regulation, there comes also mass acceptance. Obviously, the average consumer is afraid to take part in Shibuya DAO votings for some things, right? That's not for the average user, that's for all us crypto degens, let's say. One thing to answer for you, I think regulation will not prevent rug pulls, because we will always have that decentralized part where rug pulls are possible. Obviously, it will prevent it to a certain extent, and that's very, very important because many people lose their money in crypto. I think that's one of the, let's say, biggest markets where retail people are really like scammed on a regular basis. I mean, I think you all know what I'm talking about. What I would like to see much more is the regulation of security tokens. So to make it possible on licensed and regulated exchanges to be able to trade, to buy, to sell security tokens from P2P, basically. So this would open up, in my opinion, a huge new market to real estate, to company governance, to whatsoever. I'm in the space since 2017, and since then everyone tries to open the first security token exchange, and I saw everyone coming and everyone going. And I'm looking forward and hope that someone will do it in the upcoming few years, because I'm very interested myself in that regards. Yeah.
I hopefully that will happen one day. Avoiding rug pulls, there is a possibility already today if you have a smart contract on that a liquidity pool to avoid that. But once again, if you program it, you also can deprogram it. So regulation is needed because I remember years back I've been to a conference in Berlin, and there were some guys who were claiming a value-free blockchain space. And when I was listening to those guys, I told myself, I know that. And actually this was a manifesto of anarchy from the 19th century. And our anarchy didn't work out at those days, and won't nowadays either. But on the other hand, sometimes also over-regulations.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall the AIBC Summit 2018 in Malta. Oh, yeah. Anyone recalls that? Yeah. There was the Prime Minister of Malta who came there, and he announced the first regulation of blockchain of crypto in Malta. And it's totally over-regulated. If you look today, if you want to issue a token or do an ICO in Malta, if you don't come up at least with $500,000 up front, you simply don't do it. So that's also a use case, I would say. Please don't do it like Malta.
So regulations are very important, and there's a lot of middlemen who help with self-regulation, etc., and work with governments, etc. But I feel like very important it is that we have regulation at the protocol level, and this is where personally we're seeing a lot of versatility building on the top of Hedera Hashgraph. Final question, guys, real quick. How do we make DeFi more inclusive towards retails so that it's not governed by whales?
I'm going the opposite direction again, so I want to make it more inclusive for retail, but I feel like there's work to be done before we can really bring retail in. However, we can educate. Education.
Yeah. Again, I second that. Education is super important, right? So what we do, how we include retailers, we have on-ramp, we have off-ramp, we're offering a debit card, and I think that's what retailers want. It's simple. You come to the platform, you put your funds, everything is clear, explained. You click one button, you invest. You click another button, you withdraw all your funds. So really make it as simple as possible. Because what I see from US DeFi protocols that pop into space, you go to the website and you see farm, stake, and it's difficult for users to understand, especially for the non-crypto users. It's super hard, right? So make them inclusive, make it simple, make it educational, and then users will come. And I'm sure that at some point there will be more DeFi users than CeFi users.
I totally agree to your opinion about education. Obviously, with the education, more people will know how it works. And I would also add that simplified platforms and also a partly centralized aspect where, let's say it's CertiK, yeah? CertiK is not decentralized, but CertiK makes decentralization safer for us as an auditor. And I think the combination of both will make it possible that we will have a mainstream adoption at some time.
I'm going to echo as well what they say. Recently, I had my 25th anniversary of my law school diploma, and my best friends came over, and they asked me, Nils, you're dealing with Bitcoin, right? I said, not Bitcoin, but blockchain, yes. And then said, we have no clue how that works. They're all my age, so I noticed that among my friends, maybe 2 or 3% know about blockchain, cryptos, and all the others, they hear about it, but they don't really understand what that is for. So yes, education is one thing, but secondly, I would say that lowering gas fees is crucial also for the success. I mean, Paypolitan is also a DeFi, and we have a hybrid model, so we're not totally dependent on the success on the token, on the crypto part. But without having decent or let's say low gas fees, you simply cannot develop a business, especially for those who will always call the unbanked. So that is very crucial that we find a solution for that.
Yeah. I think I don't want to take the discussion into something when it comes to tribalism and which blockchain is better than the other, because that's a whole new other Pandora's box. And I think we're a bit over time, so I would like to thank the panelists for their insight and give them a round of applause, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you for leading.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.